Hi, I'm Hannah, and I like to talk about mystical things and OBEs. And I'm currently on that journey of exploring myself and getting to know who I really am. So, today I want to talk about my experience last night with astral projecting. It was absolutely insane. I couldn't believe that I was able to astral project, which means get out of my body multiple times, probably over 10 times, and it was pretty crazy. So basically last night I started with um I was feeling like I had a really bad migraine, so I went to sleep pretty early. I went to sleep like at 9 p.m. I never go to sleep at that time. And so I remember doing my meditation to relax and feel good. And I remember saying, I declare that I'm going to astral project tonight. Because I've done it in the past and I really want to like practice doing that again and get better at it. And so I made that declaration and I went to sleep. I had regular dreams. And the only dream that I really remember was having a really bad nightmare with some sort of like evil creature or being trying to attack me and my family and people that I knew. And I remember I killed it. And then I woke up because I had to go to the bathroom. And I also heard my cat meowing and screaming outside my door to wake up for some reason. I think he wanted food. So I woke up, I went to the restroom. It was 4 in the morning because I decided to check the time. And when I was in the bathroom, I was thinking, oh my God, this is the perfect time to astral project. Because I remembered I made that declaration, right? The night before I went to sleep. And so I said, you know what, since I am awake at 4 a.m., might as well do it. So I went back to bed and I made the declaration again that I'm going to astral project tonight. And what happened was, it took me a really long time, or it felt like it took me a long time to go back to sleep. So I remember feeling super uncomfortable and constantly changing positions. And I remember thinking maybe I should be on my back because that's probably the easiest way to astral project. And then I remembered, oh, I've done it in many different positions in the past, so it shouldn't matter. There was a time that I was sleeping on my stomach and I astral projected just like that. And then it's been on my side. I slept on my side before and on my stomach and my back, and it's been the same thing. So I was like, oh, whatever, I'm tired. If I'm gonna astral project, it's gonna happen no matter what, right? So after a while, which probably felt like a little bit over an hour, I started to feel, I think I went into a dream, like regular dream, and then I randomly or spontaneously started to feel like this vibration in my body, which I felt before in the past when I would have sleep paralysis. And I was like, okay, this might be it. And I started hearing a little voice that was very faint saying, come here, come here. And it was saying it in Spanish. It was actually saying my name. It was saying, Hannah, come here, in Spanish, which means in Spanish it would be Hannah, Hannah, bang, Hannah, bang. And I heard it a couple of times and I paid attention to it. And then I was like, oh, okay, hold on. What is this? And so once I paid attention to it and I said, this is okay, I'm going to just let it happen, because a little bit of fear was starting to build up again, which is normal. I think naturally, if you're going to get out of your body, you feel like you're going to die. So like your brain gets scared and creates illusions and stuff. In the past, I used to get attacked by demons in my sleep paralysis. And now I know that it's just my fears at the time. So anyways, I decide to ignore the fear and say, relax. It's okay. You're safe. And then I started seeing, it's almost like I heard these vibrations. I almost forgot, right? So I heard the vibrations and I also heard like a wind noise happening, like shh. And then it became black. And then I said, I'm just going to let it happen. And then I started to see my hands coming out of my body, and taking into consideration that I was actually sleeping on my right side this way with my hands like this. And I remember like levitating my hands, right? Raising my hands, and I could see them like in a transparent way. And then I was getting a little too excited. So I was telling myself, calm down, relax, it's okay. You've done this before. And I remember seeing a picture of my face or something. It's like I was seeing different visions at the same time. And I saw my face and I was like, I'm Hannah. And as soon as I said that, I went back into my body in the same position and everything. And I was like, oh, it could be because I thought of my body that I went back into it. So I remembered, okay, so I can't get nervous. You can't get too excited. You cannot have fear. You have to be very neutral and calm in order to actually astral project and be confident about it. So then I was like determined, I'm going to do this again. So I believe I go back to sleep. It took me a little moment to go back to sleep because I was like a little excited about it, of what just happened. So I go back to sleep. I don't know how long it took me to fall back asleep, and I start having regular dreams until once again I feel this sensation that I'm going to astral project. And it's like, I don't know what's triggering it. I don't know if I think it might be because I kind of declared it. I made that affirmation before going to sleep. And it was like just the right time of the night. My body had slept. And I've done this in the past, so it's getting a little easier every time. And so, but I haven't done this consciously in so long. Like, it's crazy. Months, like it would just happen always spontaneously. So finally, I start to feel this sensation again. But it's weird because this time around, it was less difficult in the sense of like, I didn't have to wait through that process, like my astral self getting out of my body and going through that whole process. I just almost like said, you know what? I'm just going to get out of my bed, and I'm jumping out of my bed and I'm getting out of my room. I'm not even going to look at my body, because I remembered that if I try to look at my body and think of my body, I'm going to go back into it. And so this time around, I jump out and it goes from black to gray, my vision. And I remembered and realized that I was closing my eyes and I have to open them. So I opened my eyes, but not this physical body. It was like, I guess, my astral self. I really am still trying to figure that out. But yeah, I opened my eyes and I see things more clear. And I see that everything is actually like still grayish and dark outside, because it was probably like 5 a.m. by now. And I have 3 cats, right? There's 2 girls and 1 boy. And I saw all my 3 cats. I was looking at my living room. I see my cats walking up to me. One of them, the older one, she's a little diva, and she was like, nah, I'm not walking, or I'm not getting up. So she stayed where she was, and I came up to her and I was touching her. And I realized that when I was trying to speak, my words wouldn't come out. So this is how I knew it was my spirit or whatever it was, not my physical body. And so I go and touch him and say hello, and just I was giving them love. And I was so happy. I was like, oh my God, this is actually happening. Oh my goodness, they can see me. It's so cool. Like, cats really can see our spirit or whatever, even when it's not in the physical. It's like, I knew that, but when you experience it, it's so unreal. Like, it's so cool. It's really a unique experience that you have to experience to really understand what I'm saying. It's like your brain can understand it, a certain amount of it, but when you actually experience it, it totally makes even more sense. Anyways, so then I decided, let me go to my room and look at my body. And after, because it's been already like maybe a little bit, I went into the room and I saw myself in the bed, and everything looked fine, but I think I ended up going back into the body. And something else I wanted to point out is that, yes, I was wearing an eye mask. My body was wearing like this physical realm. I was wearing an eye mask. So the fact that I was seeing everything through different eyes, not from this body, it just kind of confirmed it, that it was really happening. And I saw myself on the bed with the eye mask. It was so funny to see myself. That's just so crazy to see your body on the bed separate from you. What? But even though I'm seeing my body, I can feel my body. It's so crazy. Like, how is that possible, right? So I go into my body again, and it's not like I physically go in there. It's just like my mind goes from being here to already in my body. Like, it's such a smooth, easy, fast transition. And the best way to, like, I guess, differentiate the feeling of what it feels like to be outside, it feels like a different frequency, but it feels like so real. It feels very real. It kind of reminds me of lucid dreaming, which I've done my whole life. So if you've done that, you kind of understand what I'm trying to say. It's like, it feels very real, but it also feels really a little different in the sense of like, just like the energy or the frequency in there. Here, it feels more physical and just like very, very dense. And I don't know how else to describe that, because over there everything feels physical too, but just this might feel a little bit denser. I don't know. If you know, you know. So I get back in the body and I'm immediately like, I'm going back out. So I did, and I got out. It's like every time I did that, I would see like darkness, feel this sensation, but it was it was like faster. I was able to do it every time a little bit faster, not think about it. And so like I would see like this vision in my head, get out. It was dark. It would go from dark to gray, and then boom, I would jump out, and it immediately was like jumping out of my room into the living room. And I don't think I was even opening my door or anything. I literally would just like immediately think, okay, I need to get out of my room. Because if I stay in my room, I feel like I'm going to be too connected to my body, if that makes any sense. And so when I got out this time around, my living room looked different. My furniture looked different. And the time before that, when everything was gray, it really looked like this dimension. It looked just like this, just gray. But then this time around, everything feels a little different. It kind of looks like in my place, but with different furniture, I think in this one I saw like my fridge only had one door instead of two doors. I didn't see my cats. I don't think so. And there's so much that happened that like I feel like I'm losing it, but I did write it down. It's just that I don't have my notes right now, but I'm going off my memory. And so I think I was just exploring the place, and I think I went to my room and I saw myself and I looked a little different. Like instead of having, because in real life I really was under the sheets, and then this time around I see my legs and they're crossed, but I still had an eye mask, and then my furniture in my room looked a little different. So I think when I went there I also went back into my body, and then I went back into another dimension. Like basically I'm just going to start saying I'm going back into different dimensions every time I go into my body. I didn't really take a break. And so I went straight to my body, go back into another dimension, and this time around, I hear, when I'm in that transitioning phase from going into a different dimension and it's dark, I hear this little boy laughing in my room, and I was like a little concerned and confused. I'm like, who's here? Because I live by myself, with three cats. So who is this little boy? And instead of getting scared, because it doesn't sound scary, but when you're going through it, you get confused and a little scared because like, who the hell is laughing in here? And so I go from darkness to let me go see who this little boy is, whose voice is this. And I jump out of my room again and I see this little black kid, and he looks kind of like me, but very like he's a kid, maybe 5-7 years old. He had very like a buzz cut, and he was just like super happy and hyper. And I'm like, who are you? Why are you here in my house? And he was just like la 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 land kind of like personality. Like he wasn't really answering my question, but then he did say, I'm like, where did you come from? And he said, oh, you picked me up from outside, like you took me. And I kind of interpreted that as if I adopted him or something. And then he was telling me his name. I asked him what's his name, and he kept telling me a name that I've never heard in my life. It started with a J, and I even told him to like spell it out, but then it looked super long, and it's just not a regular name that I would ever see here. It was like just something. Just I don't even remember now because it was just not a normal name here, right? So I see him, and then I see him in the kitchen like washing dishes, and I see him transform into a girl, and now he looks like the same. He's like a black kid with blonde curly hair and a ponytail. And when I tell him, so now you're a girl or are you a boy? Like what's going on? Why are you changing characters? And the little girl just smirked and laughed. And then I don't know. I think after that I went back into my body, because if something did happen after that, I just can't remember. But I definitely went back into my body, and then I go into another dimension. And this time around, I wake up again into another one. Like I get out of my body, jump out of my room. I'm in a living room again, and I see three boys. Now there's three boys that do not look like me. They look like they're white, but they're Hispanic. And I say that because I grew up with Hispanics. I'm Hispanic. Um, and they look like Spanish kids. And they almost, for a second I thought they were twins, but then I realized, oh no, one of each one is a little taller than the other. So I assume they're just siblings, that maybe they're like a year apart from each other. And they were just playing around, all rowdy and happy, just being kids. And then I remember seeing them get on the counter, like sit down on the counter and maybe have breakfast or something. And I remember looking at the fridge, and I noticed I had two fridges in this living room slash kitchen. And one of them had one door and the other one had two doors. And when I opened it, I saw things that I've never bought in my life in the fridge. Just different foods and stuff and juices. I just never seen here. Maybe I have, but not really. Stuff that I don't really have here. And I remember thinking, okay, guys, you guys have a phone. If you need to call me, make sure you call me if you need anything, because I'm going to step outside. And do not let anyone inside, okay? If anyone knocks at this door, do not open that door. And they just agree, and they were just chilling. And then when I'm going outside, I am opening the door, and everything outside just looks so different from here. I live in an area that's under construction, so there's literally nothing. There's just houses and there's not even grass. And when I went outside in this reality, oh, and I have stairs. So in this other reality, I didn't have stairs. I was on a first floor. I get out. I see this lady. There's like a bunch of people outside my house, and it's, I guess, neighbors that are just so friendly. And everybody just hangs out together outside, like what? That does not happen here where I live. But anyways, I see these people sitting outside my house, and I'm like a little scared at first because I'm like, oh my God, I have 3 boys in my house. Like, what if these people want to get in when I leave? And so I'm trying to lock the door, and there's like 2 doors. I have to lock one and then the other. I didn't lock the first one, so I had to open the second one again. And then I see the boys from the inside trying to lock it, and they lock it for me. And then I lock the outside one. And then, anyways, I see this lady. She has blonde hair, and I look at her. I'm like, you look so familiar. Who are you? She's like, oh yeah, I know you from that other world, this one. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I do know you. Yeah, you look very familiar. I know you, but I didn't know her name. And so then I leave, and I see other people. I keep walking, and I'm looking at the street. There's a lot of like trees, a lot of plants, gardens. The trees had different fruits. There was a specific fruit that looked like the size of my hand, and it looked like almost like berries within that ball sticking out, berries sticking out of that ball of fruit. And it was like a dark blue. The closest thing to that was like blueberry, but it just different shape and just tons of it into one ball, right? That's just the best way I can explain it. And I grab it and I'm like, let me go try it. And it was like, it was all right. But then I spit it out and I was like, why did I just do that? And then I see this other lady across the street in front of her house doing her garden. And in her garden, she had a bunch of other fruits like tomatoes, grapes, but they all look so different from here, and just different fruits, similar but different. The tomato looked like it was green and red. I think I've seen something like that here, but it's not like the ones that we have here. And the grapes look different too. They were like a little longer, which I know we have something like that here, but I haven't seen that here. And I was like, can I go try your fruits? Can I have one? Can I please try one? And she just like said, no, I'm sorry, but I gotta ask my husband. And I'm like, okay, where do you gotta ask your husband? And she says, well, he's actually sleeping. And when she said that, I just got a little download and realized, oh, I think she means he's dreaming in another world right now. And it was a normal, this is where it gets a little juicy, and I start realizing things, and I just start knowing things without people having to say it, is that everybody can dream and go to other dimensions like it's a normal daily thing. And time just felt so different from here. And here time felt slower, and over there time just felt so much quicker, and like there was no such thing as time. And something else that I realized was I was able to elevate and fly. And I just, by thinking it, I was like, oh my God, let me try and fly. And I tried to fly. I couldn't fully fly like I've done in other dreams. But in this dimension, I was able to at least elevate from the floor and like jump a little bit high, but maybe not more than this. I don't know if that was like because of what I believe, or that's just how that dimension works. It could be either or. So I'm just like walking super happy, and I think I teleported or transitioned into this other building where there's people, and I start asking questions that I can't remember right now. And what else? After asking questions and stuff and being super happy and la 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 and singing and stuff, I see this elevator and I'm like, ooh, I know that if I go up, maybe I can go to a higher dimension. Because I was trying to figure out, like, how can I go to those realms that people talk about all the time? Now that I'm here, I might as well try. And so I go and see the elevator, go inside, and I just go to the highest floor. I saw the letter like P, but I think I saw the number 4, but it was more than 4 floors. I don't know what that means. Maybe 4P, something like that. Interesting. Now I'm thinking, could it be like past lives? But it just felt like everything was happening at the same time. Like, it's not like here where we think there's a past, future, and present thing. Like, everything's just happening at once. And so anyways, I go up, I end up going up into the roof of somewhere, but I'm actually now at a station. So as soon as I get out of the elevator, this lady, she sees me and she's like, hey, can you show me your ID and something else? And I'm like, wait, I don't know what you're talking about. I just got to this world. I don't remember anything. I just woke up. Because other people are telling me that I was dreaming and I come from a different world. So now I'm starting to say that too. Like, whenever I would go to a different dimension, I'll be like, oh, I'm actually not from here. Can you like remind me who you are? As soon as I said that, she switched from speaking in English to Spanish. And she was asking me, or at least she was telling me about some things, either about myself and the people there. And then she started to talk to me about my mom. And I was like, oh my God, I want to see my mom. She has to be in this dimension. Oh my gosh. Of course I want to go see my mom. Where is she? And so she said, no, I'm sorry, but you can't see her right now because she's dreaming. And I was like, oh, okay, that's annoying. And then in my head, I was like, but why can't I just go at least see her? I don't mind if she's dreaming. I could just at least look at her. That's fine with me. I can just teleport. Can you just tell me where it is? And she just like changed the subject, and she walked me around some other area, and she was like, talking about something with someone else. And then she mentioned something about, now this is going to be a little bit interesting. I don't know if I interpreted it wrong or if my brain translated this wrong or something, but in that dream, she was talking about Black people are not appreciated in your world as much as they are here. Yeah, I don't know, but that's what happened. And then I asked her again, like, what does she mean by that? And then she started talking about Dominicans, which I'm Dominican, by the way. And she said how Dominicans are desired and stuff over there. And I'm like, weird. What do you mean? And when she was trying to tell me, I immediately went back into my body. So I think this was one of my longest ones out of all the ones that I had that night. And I started to feel like my body was getting tired, and or at least my brain, and in the sense of like doing this too much, because I kept going back into dimensions, back and forth. And I know there were more, but these are the ones that I remember the most. The next one, so after I went back into my body, I was like kind of noticing that I think like my brain was acting a little bit tired and was starting to get fried out or something, which it's something that I heard about before if you try to do astral projection a lot. And so I was like, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna keep going. And so I decided to go. And before I fully get out, or I fully like change or transition to this other dimension, I feel like there's someone under my legs. Like I'm sleeping on my back, and then I feel someone else's legs under mine, like under. And I got a little scared because I'm like, what is this? This feels kind of like when I would go in sleep paralysis, and like back then I thought it was demonic things touching me or grabbing me or attacking me. And like it felt like that same feeling. And then I heard a growl, and I was like, fuck this shit. I am leaving. I'm not gonna pay attention to it. But it growled. It's basically what happened. It growled. It was getting annoyed or something. And so I just ignored it and poofed out of there. And I end up going from black to gray, and then it transitions to cartoon vision. Everything looked like cartoonish, very colorful, and just like cartoons, like how cartoons look, not humanistic or realistic. And then I decided, let me like clear my, I don't know, I just cleared my vision somehow, because I guess I had that desire to see things more clearly, and it switched to humans, but it looked like the 70s or something, but just not like from here. I don't really don't understand how to describe it, but um I was in a different house, and everything was very colorful, blue and just different colors like this actually. What? I just realized that. That's crazy. Um and I saw a man, which I'm just gonna call dad. I These are people that I've never seen in my life, but I'm gonna call them like what they were in that life or dimension. And so I saw my dad. He had gray hair and he was white, Spanish. He looked like a Spanish or Cuban person. It's the best way I can describe it. Even though they all come in different colors, I'm just going with the typical like Spanish look, but kind of more Cuban because like that's what I grew up with, so that's what I can best like describe it as. Um, and so I see him, I see my mom, she's also white, and then I see siblings eating at the table, and it looked like nighttime because they were eating like dinner. I don't think it was lunch. It was a lot of food on that table. And they just had big plates of food with foods that I've never seen in my life. The only thing I recognized in that was these baby corns that are yellow and they're tiny like this. And it had a bunch of sauce, and the sauce kind of looks like teriyaki sauce or something. And they had meats and stuff in it, but they had like small round meats that don't look like meatballs. I don't know what they were. And I saw that in the kitchen, they had a bunch of food on the counter as well, and they were just serving themselves and sitting down. The parents were already sitting down. There were two siblings, I think, sitting down, and maybe one grabbing stuff, getting up. And the kids were not saying, or like the siblings were not saying anything, but the parents, they were actually talking to me. I don't think I was paying attention to the siblings, and I can't remember if it was two girls and one boy or all three girls, but I do feel like there was three siblings, 2 to 3. And I ask immediately, who are you guys? Where am I? What is this place? And they're just kind of like confused, like, what do you mean? And I say, I just woke up. And they're like, oh, okay, you just came from that other world, right? Okay. And then I'm like, yeah. It just seems like everybody thinks this is normal in every dimension. It's so weird. But if I talk about this in this reality, people are like, what are you talking about? That doesn't exist or something like that. Like, unless they believe in it or they've gone through it. And so the dad is being super sarcastic to me, telling me like, what do you mean? I can't remember the words, but he was saying something in the words of like, what do you mean? Like, you don't know who we are, like we're your parents. And but he didn't say that, so I don't know. And then I was like, okay, what are your names? And the mom was telling me her name, and then I asked her, I don't remember the name, by the way. I asked her, what is my name? And she said something in the words of Menkami. something with an M. It sounded just like that, but I don't know how to spell it. And so I accept that, okay. And then I see myself, there's like a mirror in the kitchen. When I'm talking to her, I can see like a mirror on the side. And I see myself and I see that I look like them. So I'm like a white person with straight hair up to here, and the curl and the ends were like this. It was like straight, smooth, ends curled up like this, like the hairstyles from the 70s or 80s. And I thought that was super cute. I was like, wow, interesting, very interesting. I This is like the first time I see myself as something else. It has happened in other dreams and stuff, but in tonight it was the first time I saw myself as something else, because in the other realities I don't think I ever looked at myself, but I did see my arms and legs and they were like this color or like lighter or tan, or but just always with like brown. But this time around it was someone else. I really was someone else. And then I was asking them a million questions. I'm like, can you please tell me as much as possible, because I know I gotta go back. And they were trying, and then I went back into my body. And when I woke up, it was now 7 in the morning, 7 or 6:50. Yeah, it was 6:57 a.m. And that means that I went from 5 a.m. to 6:57, and I had all those experiences. Like I know I had like 10 or more or less, but it was definitely like around 10 experiences or different dimensions. And I definitely felt my brain like getting wired out, like throbbing a little bit. So I said, okay, I'm just gonna chill now. I'm just gonna go and dream regular and just rest. And then I think I go into a dream, and this time around I'm not forcing myself to get out or anything or like thinking on that, but I kind of still felt like I was automatically in a different dimension, of course. um and I remember being in a house that had multiple houses within the house with a lot of doors, and in each door there was like a different family member that I knew from here, and some other people that I can't remember were there, and they were just all saying hi to me, all happy, and I was just, saying hi to everybody. And then I go into this living room slash kitchen maybe, and I see other family members from my mom's side, by the way, from my mom's father's side, not from her mom, from her mom's side, because my mom has siblings from her dad and mom, like different siblings. And so I see them, and then I see my mom, and I was like, oh my God, mommy, I'm so happy to see you. And then I hug her, and I was really excited, and I start asking her, like, are you okay? And she starts to tell me, oh, I don't know. Like, she looked a little tired because she had just gone through her own journey of something. And so she says, oh, I'm okay, but this arm, her left arm, is still a little bit uncomfortable. And what I mean by that is that in this reality, in this life right now, we found out she has ALS, which started from her left hand, where like her muscles and her hands wouldn't move, and they couldn't grab onto things, and started spreading throughout her body. And it just took years to finally figure out what it was. They used to think it was carpal tunnel, but it started transferring everywhere, and now she has the symptoms of ALS. But it's mostly on her left. And in this dream, she says, well, I'm okay. I just still have a little bit of discomfort on this hand. And in this reality, it doesn't hurt her. Like, it doesn't actually feel painful for her like it does for other people. But she physically can't grab things and stuff like that. She's disabled. And when I say this reality, I mean here in this, like where we are right now. And so in that other reality, she was saying how she had just transitioned yesterday, and I automatically knew she meant passed away, passed to this new dimension, earth, or heaven or something. And she mentioned that she had just seen her live review. She just came from seeing her live review, and it was like, she said it took like 2 days, and it was a lot. And I started being like, oh my God, can you tell me more about that? How was it? So because here, we grew up Catholic, and the version of heaven and hell is not what I saw in my out-of-body experiences. And so I believe that you create your own hell, you can create your own heaven, you can create anything, because we are creators, right? And so she was telling me how when she saw her live review, she was telling me this while I was also like saying it at the same time. And we were saying, oh, so you basically saw your live review and you were able to feel everything that you did, and right and wrong. And she's like, yeah, that's what happened. And everybody in the background is just walking around and looking at me and just listening, but also doing their own stuff and not really taking this too seriously. It's almost like all of this is super casual and normal. This is just part of the process. We're just literally transitioning, watching our live review, like it was nothing, kind of like energy. That's the kind of vibe that was going on. I mean, I don't know, she seemed a little exhausted because she said it was like a 2-day process, but I don't know if she actually meant 2 days in this version. I feel like maybe 2 sessions, like maybe she had to do 2 sessions of that, or like it just took a minute, but there she was, over with that whole situation. And then it was probably now her time to just chill and recover. And so after that, she said, oh, I was asking her, when did she pass? When did you transition? And she said, oh, I transitioned yesterday. And I was like, what do you mean yesterday? Yesterday was my sister's birthday. Your daughter, like my daughter, her daughter's birthday, my sister. And she's like, oh, not that yesterday. And I was like, what do you mean? Tell me more, please. What do you mean? And so I was trying to ask her like what date it was, but she wouldn't tell me because she couldn't tell me. Like she just knew she couldn't tell me because of the way maybe I was reacting or something. And that's what I sensed. Um, she couldn't tell me. She was telling me, well, she was giving me hints, kind of like she said, well, when it happens after you finish school. And I just was a little confused about that. It's almost like I understood, but still confused. And I just kept asking, but she wouldn't tell me more. And then she also mentioned, I think she mentioned something else. I can't recall. But basically, she said that this happened, like I said, it had just happened and that it's going to happen soon. It felt like it's going to happen soon or something. But I don't know how soon because their point of view with time is completely, their awareness of time is completely different from here. It seems like here things take longer than over there. And that's just the sensation I had from every dimension. I was like, here, everybody knows that these mystical things are just the normal thing. And flying and elevating or seeing or like being weird or just not caring about anything is normal. And sleeping and going into different dimensions is normal. And transitioning and passing and all these things are completely normal, and everybody just knows the truth. Like nobody's asleep like they are in this dimension and clueless about things. I don't know how else to say it, but that's just the feeling and the vibe and the confirmations I was getting from every single person. And after she tells me that, I remember going into the bathroom with her for something. I don't know, she's helping me look for something. And then she starts to scream at me about something. And I'm like, wait a second, you still have the same personality as you did over there? And she was like, no, I don't. I learned some things. I learned. And I was like, right. And then I think after that, I transitioned back to my body. And when I woke up, it was 9 in the morning. So it's crazy because it didn't feel like it was that long. So from like 7 to 9, I had another experience that was apparently way longer, but it didn't feel that way. It felt so short. And by then my brain was done. And I could have kept going, but I was like, no, it's already 9 a.m. Let me wake up. And I'm off today, so I had the luxury of waking up whenever I want. And that's what happened. I'm still processing everything. It's pretty bizarre. It's so fascinating to think that there's so much out there that we don't know. And I'm so excited to continue learning about this. And I can't wait to continue sharing more information. Just so you know, I'm currently in a course to better my skills with mysticism in the sense of like my psychic abilities, getting to know who I am, and so much more. You're gonna see. You will see. You're gonna see. So anyways, thank you for watching my video and actually listening to these experiences. I hope someone can relate, and I just hope that we can continue waking up and create more awareness about OBEs and talk about these things, because a lot of people have fears, and I know I grew up with a lot of fear, and it's been really hard to deprogram my brain to not have these fears. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments, and also your stories on sleep paralysis or OBEs or any weird stuff that you've experienced growing up or currently are experiencing. I think everybody can do this. I think it just takes practice and also getting rid of fear. Oh, cutie, she's over here. She's trying to be on camera. And so yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye guys.